right, call this meeting to order. Roll call. Council at Large Boots.
Here.
At Large Spear.
Here.
Council Ward number 1 Leeper.
Here.
Ward number 2 Anderson.
Here.
And Ward number 3 McNeil.
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Looking at the agenda, are there any additions to the agenda? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve this agenda?
So moved.
Boots with the first,
Second.
and Spear with the second.
Leeper.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Boots.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
All right, the agenda has been approved. The communications, we actually do have somebody scheduled first, so Judy Jenkins and Diana Gilbert. You wouldn't mind making your way to the, or Judy and Gilbert?
Changing people.
Yes, that's fine. Make your way to the podium.
I'm Judy Jenkins.
I'm Neil Gilbert. My wife is sick.
Oh,
I'm standing.
So I'm here, first I want to thank you for the minimum exemption on the gathering buildings. I had put in a proposal a while back for that, or a paper to propose for that. And then I wasn't quite sure because when the bill came, I saw that we were still getting charged for garbage. So I did call the city office to ask them, why is this? What does it mean? Because I guess I've always learned that the definition of exempt means zero. You don't pay anything, you're not responsible for anything. We don't have a garbage can. We don't create any garbage. Right now, there's nobody even there. And when we did remodel, all the mortar that was chiseled and everything that was done, my husband has a big long dump trailer that was taken directly out to the dump station, or we do have a dumpster on our farm, so it was also put in there, one or the other. So aside from that, then we didn't work on the buildings for a few months. We did need electricity, so I'm under the understanding that once you have any utility, you automatically get charged for garbage, whether you're creating garbage or not. And then we do have two buildings side by side. So I'm wondering if this is something that can be looked at, an ordinance that can be pondered to possibly change or word it different, or something that as someone is working on buildings, I realize most businesses, when they own them and they're collecting revenue, they would get it done quicker. We have grants that we're applying for. We've had some that we've already been given and other money that's been donated and some materials donated. It's still going to be a long process. So it's going to be a while before we're actually in there and creating any garbage. And since we're a nonprofit and we're trying to raise money, I'm hoping that maybe you can look at this and see if there's something we could do for a true exemption. How would this work? Do you have any suggestions, any thoughts?
I'll fill in what I do know, and it is not an actual. Sorry, that wasn't you. It is not an actual exemption. It is a reduction by code. And the reduction removes everything but a base service fee. That service fee's been determined over time. And right now it's like $5.94 or some odd number on your bill.
It says 913.
913. And that is a question that's been raised before, but the practice has been that base rate is maintained in part to discourage free riders in the system, which is people who eliminate garbage from their bill and then just simply dump it in somebody else's can. Mm-hmm. I will tell you that this is not the first discussion we've had on this, and we are looking at a comprehensive review of refuse in Tipton, in part because of these questions like yours, but also because we're discovering that recycling is becoming increasingly expensive. So we're looking at a comprehensive look at this process, but as of now, the practice that predates me has been that there's this base fee charge. It's just a reduction and you're right, exempt means exempt, but the ordinance, the code was written such that it reduces that fee to a base rate And like you said, if you've got utilities, you're going to pay a base rate for electricity. You're being treated the same as everybody else at this point, but it's a valid question.
And I realized, because when I asked, and I had other people say, yeah, we ran into the same thing and it's ridiculous, and so, so I'm pondering over this and I'm thinking, why in the world would the city charge for something that I don't even have a garbage can, I'm not collecting? Because in my eyes, I look at that as, if I were to do that to somebody, I would be stealing from them, because I'm charging for them for a service I'm not even giving them. So that's how I perceive it. But then also, my thought was, I suppose there was somebody, even maybe one person in the past, who did the freeloading deal, so now we all have to suffer the consequences. And I realize those situations, unfortunately, do happen all around the world. I would just like to propose that you would maybe find it in your hearts to look into this and realize there have been other people in the past who have brought this up, and it would be nice if there would be something you could do to make exempt, truly be exempt. And if somebody were to take advantage of that, maybe you could have something in there stating that if you're going to do this, then once you're caught, we're going to backtrack and you're going to charge you for that whole time. I mean, have there be a consequence, just like if somebody were to steal, there's a consequence when you get caught. That way, you know, those of us who are really trying to make the community improve and then eventually help the community and our nonprofit, we wouldn't have to suffer the consequences, I guess is how I look at it. Do you have anything to add?
Can I ask why it's $9? Is there a tax charged on it, or?
It's a ratio that was determined at the time this code was written, some decades back, and it was a ratio probably half of the cost of the 35 gallon, or the smallest unit of garbage to be picked up, and that ratio has just followed. So anytime there's been an increase in refuse fee, that amount has crept up as well, because, you know, why else would you create a number like $9 and however many cents it is?
13.
So
Right.
it essentially boils back to a proportion of that original base fee. And I'm not arguing the point with you, whether it's just or not,
Right.
but it is the means by which the council at the time determined to avoid free riders and maintain the base of the system so that you can continue to get garbage. Everyone got garbage picked up. And there are ways in which if someone is dumping their garbage on, you know, in the park or in somebody else's container, I mean, there are fines that can be applied for that, but mercifully, the system here has been effective enough that everybody pretty much takes care of their own garbage. So, like I said, we are actively investigating the overall refuse program of the city. That's been a priority that's come from elected officials and from voices like yours as well. What we can't do administratively is change that right here and now without affecting a lot of other folks who have been paying the partial that you're talking about for years. So all I can offer you and the council is that we're taking a real hard look at refuse and recycling in the community.
Please do, because I've even pondered, okay, well, maybe we need to just turn off all the utilities, but we're kind of stuck in the situation of we are depending on a lot of people who are volunteering their time. So when they have the time and they're ready, I need to have electricity to run the tools. Otherwise, I would just shut off the electricity until I knew for sure then they were ready, and then what? I guess I would pay to hook it back up again. Because I don't know if it's going to be 2 months or 4 months for some of the things. I mean, I've got a lot of volunteer work that is donated, but we're also waiting on the grants to buy the materials to do it. So, you know.
You call to mind an alternative, and it may not be practical for your situation, but we have had here in Tipton and other places I've been, the situation where someone has a joined building with, you know, 2 services that date from the day when it was 2 separate buildings, and they've combined their electric meter into one service entrance for the whole building. And in combining that, you know, you eliminate one address from the roll, and so you just get billed for the one address that you have. That's, you know, also an expense, but if it's a long-run thing, it might rectify some of your electrical issues at the same time. But the point is, you have one building that used to be 2, it has 2 separate electrical services, there's a benefit in,
It does still have two electric, because it's supposed to be one. That was discussed with the city when Chris came and, hooked it up and talked to them.
Okay.
That it's being condensed into one, there's only one electric panel, everything's been disassembled and everything from the other one. We were told, and Chris talked to the city about it, and got it okayed, and I think her name's Tanya. Came to look and okayed it, that would be okay too, that everything would run from the one panel for the two buildings.
I'll take another look at that. Do you have two water services?
Well, that I don't know yet, right
Two
now.
water
We-
meters.
Right now, we only have electricity.
Is this the only bill you get?
This is the only bill we get right now,
It's only got the one.
Okay.
and it just has 521
address.
on it.
We'll take another look at it.
For a case-by-case basis, can we do a city credit, like when she finally gets online, and then just credit back?
You mean for the $9 and some odd cents?
Yeah. So let's say she pays the $9 for the next 6 months, and then she opens her building up, just credit back the 9 times 6 months, $54 at a later date.
That would be
At a later date, dealing with changing an ordinance and
yeah.
do a case-by-case that way.
Yeah, you can,
That's that could be considered, Tim.
anything you're willing to consider.
Yeah.
I mean, I realize it's only $9, but we're nonprofit, and it's gonna be a while before we're getting the doors
Sure.
open, you know. So, thank you for your time.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, so now to the unscheduled portion. If there's anybody who wants to, there's somebody currently making their way. Whoop. Mr. Boyle, actually.
Go ahead.
You sure?
Go ahead.
All right. Just come on up and give your name and address for the record.
I just have a couple pictures here to show
So, okay.
you. This,
Name and address.
okay, my name's Mike Boyle, and live here in Tipton, 201 East 11th Street. And I'm here about the holiday lights, or I call them Christmas decorations. They're Christmas decorations to me, and to somebody else, well, that may be offensive, but you can call them holiday decor or whatever. Our family, we're in our 14th year of living here in Tipton. And when we first moved here in 2003, my children were, they were elementary kids. They were a first grader, and we had a fifth grader. And one of the first things we noticed that first year was just how beautiful Tipton was with the lights. You know, I mean, every community that you go to, you see lights that they're on the poles. They've got the swags across the highways and stuff. I'm a little surprised. You know, I don't know what happened this year. I started to ask some questions. I started to ask people, you know, when are they going to put the holiday lights up and stuff? And nobody seemed to have the answer. And I even had some people not from Tipton, but from away, family members that come down and, where's your Christmas lights? Well, as I understand it, they may not be putting them up this year. And I don't understand that. You know, I think, you know, if you're going to promote your community, you want to put your best face forward. And you know what that means is, you know, keeping your infrastructure, your streets clean, keeping trash where it needs to be, and you keep a nice looking, clean community. And the perception is also, you know, on what it looks like. And you know, it just doesn't seem like Christmas to me without those lights. And I'm sure there's others that are going to want to talk to about this too, but I certainly hope you reconsider and You know, if you can get some light, some snowflakes and swags that, you know, do it. And, you know, the ones that aren't salvageable or can't work or whatever, well, you just have to work on getting those repaired. And I understand you don't want to put up something that isn't safe, but we need a nice looking community.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Thank you.
Thanks.
Daisy Winger, Highway 130, Tipton, and I'm also concerned about the lack of snowflakes and the swags along the end of town this year. I've been told that some of the snowflakes are in not very good condition, and I'm sure after a period of time they may get that way. I don't know if anyone has bothered to call the company where they were purchased. I do know that in the past we've purchased a lot from that company, and they did have a program that they would repair. It would be with a cost, I realize, and I don't know what that is. But I think if they're that bad, they should at least be given a call or a picture to see what kind of condition, because they've been in business for over 30 years too, and they're interested in having a good product. And between the city and the chamber, we've worked for quite a few years. And our goal always was to have snowflakes from one end of town to the other to be kind of a welcoming thing. And I know that poles further out had been equipped so that that could happen. And some of them cannot be that old. And I think if some can't be put up, we certainly must have some that could be. And my other issue is with the swags at the end of town. And I've been told possibly that they don't meet the DOT standard anymore. And I don't know, at the time, they would not have been purchased. They were paid for by the chamber with the exception of one, and we have Bethany here who actually had fundraisers and donated the money. Those cost $2,200 to $2,500 a piece. And they really are not that old. And at the time, they did meet DOT standards, and I don't know if they have changed, but we would not have purchased them and Mr. Packwood, I know, called and cleared that. My other question is, if we aren't going to use them anymore, what's going to happen to them? Are they just going to be tossed, or what? So I think our town looks, it's good to have new, and I realize the garland is new, but our town is very plain this year.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Bethany Newnham, 515 East 5th Street. And I'm here too because I've heard a lot of comments from many of my clients, and also one gentleman contacted me to say, what's up with the lights? There was a big discussion one morning at Family Foods. Well, first of all, they were concerned about the star not being lit. That's always, as we all know, grew up, the star was lit on Thanksgiving evening, and it wasn't. So I did make a call to the city, and it was taken care of. So that was, but I would, you and I talked before, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a chance to talk to the DOT?
I talked to them, actually got back with them this morning, and they advised that the minimum above the center line of the highway is 20 feet. And I don't claim to know what these were measuring at when we checked them last fall or last winter, whatever it was, to find out that they were below that minimum. So I don't know. I haven't had a chance to talk to Public Works or anybody else who would have known what they were at.
Okay.
But my understanding was they were below the 20.
So it could have been changed since they were originally put up.
It's possible that something changed, whether they don't they don't hang at the same elevation they were before, or the mounting points are different. That I don't know.
Okay, all right, well, that's understandable. But there were a lot, as Daisy mentioned, I sold some necklaces that I made, and people knew that when I said the money was going to go toward the snowflakes to have the third one down. At that time, Highway 130 was empty, and I said, and people donated, and so it's not just us, it's the whole community. It's the whole community that we are taking pride in our town. I was born and bred here more or less, and yes, things do change, but I'd like to keep the tradition going, and I can go without the lights this year, but I think there should be some changes, or at least this gives us time to look into it so that we can make it, because they can't be broke yet, unless they were, mishandled or something like that. My other question is, who decides? Who decides on what decorations go up, go down, or what?
Good question.
I'm going to defer to, Mayor, I would defer to Linda back for the Chamber of Commerce for some feedback on that. That was not my decision.
Okay,
Mine neither.
Yeah, we,
okay,
Okay,
all right.
sounds like Linda had
Okay, so
a couple
that's
answers
my
for you.
other thing, that,
Yeah.
that there's been a lot of discussion around town, different places, over coffee and in salons, et cetera, wondering what's going on with the lights. So,
Mhm.
thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks, Bethan.
Well, first of all, I think everybody's on the same team. We want our community to be beautiful. Oh, thank you. That is the goal, and I think we've worked very hard to make our community a beautiful community. I went before the council many, many months ago, and the chamber with the garland. At that time, it was discussed last winter, after the snowflakes were being put away, that many of them were not in very good shape. And it took many man-hours to fix them. Not all of them, but
The snowflakes that went on the light
the
poles.
poles.
The light poles.
Yeah,
We would,
yeah.
we would spend 2.5 days. I would pay 2 linemen 2.5 days, $40-some an hour to work on those. And it's not that I don't want to do it. This year has been an extremely busy year for the electric department. We put in a new engine. I'm short-staffed. I've been working in the power plant, which normally I don't do, trying to get things done. And when Linda and I discussed this, we didn't want to add a bunch of work to it. And with the garland, I had many compliments about how nice it looks, and it's a change. But some of the snowflakes are broke. The welds have broken on them. The vinyl coating is peeling off, and then the rust is running down off of that, and then it's running off onto our poles, and it's staining the poles. And, we talked about it, and we really felt that the garland was a good option for this year. With the swags, when I measured them last year, they're 19 feet 6 inches. The poles that we currently have there are not tall enough, so we'll have to get a new permit from the DOT to change the poles, which I didn't do, and I'm sorry. But typically the swags, just to put up those swags, it's an all-day affair. And I'm not trying to make excuses or minimize it, because I do truly understand where you're coming from. And this year, the penguin and that is gone. That was a total expense. I don't even know how many. In the 3 years I've been here, I don't even want to think about how much money the utility spent repairing the penguins and that stuff. They were in the green space up there by the tree.
Yeah.
One of the things that last winter, what I had done, because I like to investigate, And myself and John Walsh, who was on the electric department, we went to several communities, and we looked at the Garland. Lisbon has it, Mount Vernon, Solon, Iowa City. We went to several communities. They were a little luckier than us, though, because a lot of their poles have electricity already hooked up to them. And to be honest, many years ago when the poles were put in, only the large, the tall poles, is there an outlet so it can be connected? That's something I want to look at very closely because I would like the little poles also. I don't know if it's feasible. I haven't even approached that yet to see if we can get it lit.
I do know that the new ones down at the library that are across the street, when I ordered those, I made them so that they're receptacle ready. Now, I was looking at one of the ones we were working on that day we went up and did the test run. I believe there's a knockout there, but I'm not 100% sure because I didn't really get that close to it and look at it because the guys are, you're too old to get up on the ladder, we're going to do it. So anyway, and I didn't ask him. But, you know, and one of the other things too is I do want to point out is that being short-staffed, this is the first time I can remember in probably 20 years that we've been able to be burying services up until really the 1st of December. I've got 3 gentlemen right now that are building houses that are waiting on us to get the services in. We've had that much work here towards the end. I mean, and if the council wants, we'll go ahead and put the swags up and stuff like that, and I'll come up with a way to get them to clear.
Because we're talking 6 inches.
I'll figure out a way.
Okay.
I'm pretty good at figuring out something like that.
I admire that, thank you.
And as far as the snowflakes go, I'd really appreciate it if somebody from the community would want to come in and spend some time working with those. And I mean, because it's very frustrating because you'll sit there for hours and you have to check almost every bulb. And, you know, when you're paying employees benefits and everything else, I mean, I look at that and you know, unless the city, I mean, like I say, I'll do whatever they want. If the council decides you want me to put the spags or the snowflakes up, we'll do it.
The mission is, I think we all are a team. And now I had looked, because it was brought to my attention about the 6 trees that are on the city right-of-way north of the courthouse, that they used to be lit up.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Daisy probably, and of course right now, but the chamber did not pay for that and the city did not pay for that. And I was told that Ron Chalice did that. I don't know who paid him or if he did it free gratis. I looked at that today and that would be very dangerous. And you know why? There's one...
Daisy wants to say something.
There is one... Okay, well, she can come back up, I guess. There's one outlet, and there would be many extension cords that would have to go to that outlet to get those trees lit up. I also looked at, and there is, I looked today, I tromped over there looking. I don't know, again, who did it. I know the chamber did not, because I called the former president. I know the chamber did not pay for that, and I know the city did not. I know Ron Chalice put them up, but I don't know who paid for it.
He paid for it himself. That was his donation to the city.
And when was the last time he did that? I'm not real sure. Was it last year? Because I remember they weren't lit up last year. I also looked at the gazebo today, and we're going to put some more lights up there. I went here in town. I had to check with the courthouse because the courthouse actually pays for the electricity there. So there's many entities that you have to look at. So I went in there and I discussed that with the courthouse personnel. Yes, I think the chamber owns the gazebo, but the courthouse pays for the electricity. And so I discussed putting some additional lights on the gazebo during the holiday season. Again, the mission is, and the goal is, I think every one of us in this room is very proud of our community.
I'm proud to be here. I really am.
And every one of us, all we want is for our community to shine, whether it's a snowflake or a child playing his saxophone in the bank this afternoon. We all want our community to shine. And so as a team we can do that. And You know, there is, the garland cost $8,100. I got 2 grants for the garland. The Lions Club was very gracious, also gave some additional money, as did some of these people sitting at this table. They gave money for the garland too, out of their own pocket. It ended up probably costing the chamber and the city maybe $1,000 a piece out of that $8,100, which I felt was a very good mission. The garland also, there are lighted wreaths that can go on the garland. If you drive around, Lisbon has it, I believe, and so does Mount Vernon. Those are things that I'm looking at too. I'm also looking at the big red bows that go on the garland. However, you can only, I guess you can't get blood out of a turnip. And so I can only do so much every year. And I have grandchildren too, and I want my grandchildren to be very proud when they come into this community. We have Tour of Lights that's just right around the corner. I think it's going to be fantastic. So the goal is I want to work together. And yes, I want us to be beautiful, of course, or I wouldn't have the position that I have because I'm very proud of our community. And so I guess whatever it takes, but it is not that we are trying to dampen a community that really is very bright. That was not the mission whatsoever. And I think our garland, and I actually just spoke at a ladies group, and there was 30 ladies there, and they gave me a round of applause because they think the garland is beautiful. And I do too, because I like the garland when I go to other places too. But there's more that will be coming. And I would love if, I guess my office is open, and if it's not, I have my phone number and I'll come right back up. But, you know, I'm one that loves to brainstorm. I'm not young anymore. Those snowflakes, they're a little tattered and tired. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. And, you know, I just tried my best to try to come up with something that would still make Tipton bright. So that's all I have, I guess.
Yeah, and, you know, and if anybody's got any questions, I mean, my office is always open. You can call me. I'm the electric superintendent. I'm Floyd Tabor. And, you know, this was all a collaboration, and I don't want Linda to take the brunt of it. Just, we all discussed it.
Well, and I don't have any problem with that. It's just that the rest of the community didn't know. And if there was a little blurb or something.
I actually came to the council several months ago, so it'll be in the minutes, to discuss the garland many months ago, because when you write a grant, there's a lot to it, and before I ever began to think of such a thing, I came to the council and to the chamber to get permission to write the grants for the garland. And so that was many, many months ago. That was last year when I did that.
But then again, we may not have communicated the fact that we probably, I mean, I don't know
that's
what
true.
we communicated.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah,
don't.
I was just communicating about the garland.
Yeah.
So, okay, sorry. Thank
Oh,
you.
you're fine. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Sandy Harmel, and I live at 1167 West 9th, Jacob Hardacre House. And I want to assure Linda, because she's a dear, dear lady, that I don't think the issue was the addition of the garland. The garland is extremely attractive. I think more the issue was that the lights are gone. There's nothing. And that's what's been commented to me the most, is that where are the lights? They're not there. And we didn't know. Most of us, nor did anybody else, know exactly what was going on, and not that we have to know every little minute thing. But I think for a community like Tipton, this is a big thing. This is a really big thing for our Christmas season. And I'm in a position, by the way, I'm retiring, so I won't be in that position anymore. But there are some times that you make a decision which you think is the best decision, but nobody else knows. And I think that's what most of us are feeling badly about, that we don't have the lights anymore. my question is there any way, do you know which lights are working and which ones aren't?
No, because every year when we take them down, you'll notice that maybe half the strand doesn't work. So, you put it away, but typically we don't worry about it because really I just don't have the staff to.
So there's no way that you could possibly
We
put
could-
up a few?
Well, what we could do is start working on them tomorrow. I don't know how that's gonna work, I'll have to figure something out, but we could do something, I'll do whatever the council tells me, okay? So, but I guess what it boils down to is that, I need the time to bring them in, check each one of them over, take the time to repair them, and that, and then, like I say, it's gonna take a day to put up all the stars.
I don't know how the council, as you know, I'm not originally from Tipton, and we've only lived in Tipton for, I don't even know how long now, 6, 7 years. And I don't know all this stuff anyway about how you work your budgets. But is there a certain amount that you budget every year for this particular classification, and we're getting this?
No, it comes out of operations, general operations, and what it means is that instead of hooking up services or correcting other issues, the line workers are doing lights.
I'm
So
sure if
there's
you took a
cost.
survey in town about how they feel about the lights, you're gonna have a lot of people that just aren't gonna care at all. What difference does it make? But I think the majority, and especially our children, are really missing it. And I don't want anybody to think that I or any of my friends who support the lights are coming in and trying to pick on anybody. We're not. We're absolutely not. I think we just wanted the question answered. What happened with the lights? Where are they? And what are we gonna do about it? And I'll repeat, the garlands are gorgeous. And there's nothing wrong with the garlands. So that wasn't the issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I don't know is it too soon to ask, what would you like me to do? What's the consensus of the council? You tell me what you want done, and I'll do anything you tell me.
I used to work for the city. I worked in the electric department. We spent time, many hours, working on the lights that ran down the old water tower. Okay, you could see that thing when you topped the hill out there, you could see that water tower. It was all lit up. We go, I don't know how many days we spent down there, but there were 2 of us working on the lights. You had to pull the old ones that were broken out, put in new ones, test it, make sure it was working. Now, I'm retired, and
Are you volunteering?
huh? Yes, I am. You find somebody that give me a helper that will help, not just stand there and watch me do it, and we'll work on those lights.
Okay.
We'll do what it takes. Because I agree with this man. It looks pretty desolate down Cedar Street without those lights up. Some friends of ours who had a little boy that stood on the hump at the back of the car, and we'd come into town, I could see the tower walking. Well, that little boy has died, and he's gone home to heaven. And every time I top that hill, I think of Jeffrey. And he's no longer with us. But the memory of seeing those lights and how excited that little guy got seeing those lights is something that you can't take away from the brain.
Yeah.
And you can't take it out of my heart. But this, we need this. And you find me somebody that's willing to work with me, and I'll go work on those lights. And it won't cost the city anything on my part, except the time that I spend doing it. I'm not going to get paid for it. I don't want any money for it. I just want to see our city look like it used to.
Well, thank you very much for that,
Thank you.
Ross.
Yeah.
I would like to compliment Ross for volunteering, and I would just like to throw out there too, that it doesn't always have to be the expectation that the city does everything. You know, we do have chamber members, are there not some that can maybe volunteer to help? You know, there's a lot of people in the city that have full plates. And so, you know, help is always a great thing, so.
All right. All right. Yes, come on up.
Shelby Wiskus, 1569 Logan Avenue in Tipton. I'll probably reiterate a lot of what's already been said. I'm born and raised in this community, former chamber director. My husband, for probably 10 years, strung those lights on the water tower, put that star up. When it was written in the paper that the star was crooked, after an icy snowstorm, he went back up and straightened it out. And my husband is probably one of those that's waiting for electrical service to the house right now, so I get all that. The garland is beautiful. I was so excited. I get the warm fuzzies when I see the electrical crew out and plugging in the stars and putting up the swag, and so I thought, oh, now we have our lamp posts. That's gorgeous. That's beautiful. And then I think it was Small Business Saturday. Stars weren't out. What's going on? And then only to find out that they weren't going to be put up. I've been approached by some people who know I was a former chamber member and asked me questions, and I got the same feedback that it's plain. It's beautiful during the day. The lights on the garland at night, I think they're kind of overpowered by our lamppost lights. I just ask if we can work together. I was on the board, a chamber board at the time when we purchased those flags. I know the thought that went into it, and the excitement of being part of that. And I realized that things, with the snowflakes, we hoped that with the vinyl coating and all this, that they would last longer, but, time goes by, and, so I just asked if they get to where they need to be replaced, that we can come up with some funds to replace them and keep adding, and that's life. But yes, if we could bring some of that magic back to downtown, it would be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Larry?
Larry Hodgson, 210 East 6th Street. And I also grew up in Tipton. Grew up seeing the star on the water tower, seeing all the lights. My children grew up in Tipton, seeing the star, all the lights. And I think it's a worthwhile project to try to get some of that put back up. So I'm glad you people came tonight. I think hardly anyone could argue against it. I was so moved by Ross's story and his willingness to volunteer to do something to help with that I am willing to help with that as well. And all Ross needs to do is give me a call, and I'll be there when you're there working on it.
You guys let me know when you want a water tower tomorrow, and I'll let you do myself.
Do what?
When we got to do it up on top of the water tower?
We don't have the harness for you to climb safely, so I can't let you go up there.
I don't want to go up there.
That'll be fine. I think Ross can get a hold of me, and Ross, you coordinated with Floyd and let me know. I had something I was going to say to you, but I've forgotten what it was now. No, I'm just kidding. Tipton is a great community. It's got a lot going for it. One of the things that I think makes Tipton especially attractive to families, especially young families, and even old families who have children in school here, is our great school system. A great school system consists of several things, lots of things. Good staff, good administrators. But one of the things that's really important for a good school system is good facilities. In my lifetime, and I've been here a while, started in kindergarten right down here, I've seen a lot of additions made to the high school building first, the kindergarten through 4, K through 4 up here, they expanded to K through 6, now it's K through 8. We've added wrestling rooms, we've added, remodeled the gymnasium. Through all of those years, school boards have taken the initiative to step forward and try to keep this district up to date, keep the facilities looking good, make them modern, and provide the best facilities they can for our students. Public education is number one on my list. So I am supporting the Tipton School Board in their plan to present to the community a bond issue coming up in the next few months. And I'm asking tonight for some support from those of you here who would care to do that, who believe as I do that Tipton, and a lot of you went to school here in Tipton, you know how important public education is to everybody, and we need to be looking towards the future for all of our young children. So even though we don't like paying taxes, that's a good investment. You can't make a better investment than through public education as far as I'm concerned. So, school board needs some signatures on a petition to allow them to move forward with a bond issue vote. And I'm out helping them get these signatures. We need to have those turned in by next Monday. So what I'm asking tonight is if, as soon as the meeting's over, if you're willing to sign a petition for that purpose to help them move this bond issue forward, if you would please see me right after the meeting. We'll get you signed up in short order and you can get out of here and head home. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Swan. Yeah, that's fine. You can say it.
I'll change the subject again. I've been upset for several weeks about the refusal to fund the senior center at the rate that you did last year. I don't want to misspeak here, so I'm going to tell you what my understanding is, and I remember most of this because I'm always here. They came in 2015 and made a plea for support, and the then council agreed to give them $5,000. I think that they kind of assumed that it would be an ongoing thing. And I might be speaking out of turn there, but that's what I think. And they came in this year and made a plea and ended up with, I think it was $1,200 and some toward the new sidewalk repair. One of the council members said that she feels you should not support nonprofits. This is a list of some of the nonprofits that I give a little bit to each year. Feeding America, Church World Service, the Interfaith Alliance, Heifer International, Camp Courageous, Special Olympics Iowa. Those are the kind of things we think of when we say nonprofit. The Senior Center is not a typical nonprofit. Not in any way, shape, or form. It's a major, major part of this community and this county. And if something happens to it, it will be devastating. It will be a tragedy. And I'm not kidding you. Somebody said to me today as we were talking, and I hope that she would come and say this, but she's not here. You know, most of the people that utilize that senior center on a regular basis are the same people that have held this community together for many, many years. A lot of them are getting way up there in age. For instance, Betty, and I talked to Betty today. I'm going to ask that this be put on the agenda for the next meeting, and I don't know who makes up the agenda. Is it the mayor? Is it Tim?
It's both of us.
Both of you?
And council members' recommendations.
I would like to see it on the next agenda, and I would like to see it discussed at the next meeting in public. I asked Betty what other towns do, and I remember her saying this at the meeting. Mechanicsville and Stanwood give something. Not very much, but something. And she and Karen have not yet gone to West Branch and Loudon to plead for funds, but they intend to do that, and I'm sure that those tiny little towns will come up with something. And I honestly don't remember what she said about Mint. But I would like to see this thought over again. And since you gave them the 1,200 and something, maybe we can come up with 3,800 to finish that out. And as you may remember, I asked that 5,000 be doubled. 5,000 in the budget of Tipton is a little teeny drop. It's inconsequential, and I don't think there's anybody up there that would disagree with that. I mean, it's a big amount of money to most of us, but in the city budget, it's a tiny little drop. This would be tragic to see that go under, and I think you'd see a lot of those people possibly move away. I don't know. And I forgot to ask her how many actual meals they deliver every day to seniors, but it's not a small amount. And I want to finish up, and I have one more handout for you. Then I'll shut up. Pass copies. There you are. This is chapter 3. This is the end. If you pass those down. And I hope that when this process is done the next time, it will be done in the open, like it's done other places. I think it's been done much better. I don't like things done in the dark. Thank you.
Thank you. Alright. Seeing that there is no more people making their way to the podium, that'll close the unscheduled portion of the meeting and we move on to the consent agenda, which these can be enacted by one motion, which are the city council minutes from November 21st, the October library minutes and director's report, and also approval of liquor license renewals at Tiger Mart and Cedar Lanes. Is there any of these that need to be pulled out to be discussed? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve this consent agenda? Boots with the first.
Second.
And Anderson with the second.
Neal? Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
All right, that carries. Now down to L, which is motions for approval, which is the claims list is the first one. Is there any of the claims list that needs to be pulled out? Hearing that there are none, does anybody want to make a motion to approve the claims list? McNeil with the first.
Second.
And Leeper with the second.
Yes. Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
All right, so the second one, which is consideration of expenditure for $1,703.08 from ambulance capital equipment line item to match $21,000 in community contributions for the purchase of a power load cot system. Mr. Ratliff, make your way to the podium for any questions.
Actually, I'll make it really quick. I think you guys have seen the memo already. Due to our previous fundraiser, we've raised $21,665 that we'd like to utilize to go towards a power cot loading system. The addition of this feature to our brand new ambulance would enable us to reduce the potential for somebody to be dropped. It would also, the biggest sales pitch behind it is that it reduces the chance for somebody to have back injury. Back injuries are the #1 leading cause for providers to leave the field, and we're doing everything we can with our volunteer service to mitigate those before they come up. We are just slightly short of the funds required for the total $23,363.08. So I'd like to move $1,703.08 from our capital improvements fund to handle that, if at all acceptable to you guys.
Any questions for Mr. Allen? Is there a motion to approve or deny this?
Make a motion to approve.
Boots with the first to approve this,
I'll second.
and Spear with the second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
All right, so that has been carried, and then now to the approval of said expenditure to purchase the power cot. Does anybody want to make a motion to? McNeil with the first,
Second.
and Anderson with the second.
Spear?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
McNeil? Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All right, so that has been approved. And now we'll just move down to the mayor's report and the council reports. The 10th, coming up this Saturday, is the Community Festival of Lights, Tour of Lights. And I'm sure Linda can expand on that later on her report if she wants to. But it'd be a great thing. Come out, support everybody. It'll be fun stuff for the kids and family. That's all I have. Anybody on the council? All right, to committee. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I included in your packet the advertisement for finance director replacement. Just to let you know that it's been advertised in the Government Finance Officers Association of the U.S. Still waiting for the League of Cities to sort out their website so we can get it advertised there. Also been advertised in the Quad City Times, and a fourth entity whose name escapes me at the moment. But at any rate, we have half a dozen applications in hand already. We're looking for first consideration of those applications on the 12th. The process is already laid out. That will help us select that, and it will involve staff, personnel committee, and also we have the ability, the offer from one of the experienced people in the city's audit office to come and assist with that. I'm encouraged by the preliminary applications you've already got. If any of you know of someone who would meet these qualifications, please let me know. I'll directly send them the materials and encourage folks to come in. So that's where we're at. Any questions? Oh, yes. Last, for me, but not least, the first meeting in January lands on Monday. The second is a day off for city employees. It's also right on the heels of that holiday. Looking at the calendar with City Clerk today, I determined that we could bump the January schedule out a week and make that first meeting on January 9 and the second meeting, whatever 14 days plus that would be, and won't crowd into the February schedule because of the way February lands with the first Monday in February. So just for your consideration, we can put on the agenda, but if I see enough nodding of heads, we'll put it on the next council meeting's agenda to adjust those days 1 week out for January.
No, think so.
Yeah. If that works for folks, we'll get that on the agenda. And that's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Department heads.
You go first, Steve, or mine?
I'll say something nice real quick.
All right, come on up.
I just wanted to give you guys an update that our pursuit for the bids for phone system updates and for internet updates have gone quite well. We already have a couple interested vendors, and I think this is going to be a great update for the city.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Just a quick review of snow removal process in town. Obviously, we've had a little event. I was lucky enough not to be here. So that worked out well for me. But, the guys, well, actually Clay did the work We're mandated to start plowing on the weekends or any time when we get 2 inches of snow on our snow routes, emergency routes. When we clean those, center those streets out, that gives everybody in town access within 3 blocks of a street that they can pass. If it's on a weekend and there's no big rush going on, we just keep that snow route open. If it gets bad, we bring everybody in so that we can get people to those snow routes. Just a friendly reminder, we really need people off the streets and trailers off the streets and anything else that's on the streets that shouldn't be there. If we're expected to do a real nice job and clean that street off. Streets basically are not for parking or for traveling. We do have a 48-hour minimum on how long you can be parked in one spot. We don't push that a lot, but we do like to do a nice job of snow removal. So, another thing that I think bears mentioning, when we go out in the morning to open the town up, our objective is to get it open so people can get to work. We typically open the centers up, down one side, come back the other side, the centers are open. People go to work, then we curb back. We take the snow back to the curb. That's our second pass around town.
I know we had discussed expanding snow routes and putting up signage. Were you able to get that done?
Well, the signage part of it is really costly. We can do whatever you want to do, but
The signage.
What's that?
The signage is for odd even.
Oh, for that, for that.
Yeah.
You know, we really haven't pursued the odd even thing much, and once again, it's a big change, and we can do that. Hey, it's like Floyd said, it's whatever the council wants to do. We're here to do that, but.
I was wondering, because I thought like on 4th Street you wanted to expand the no parking.
There are places that certainly need to be looked at. I'd rather go with no parking than not even, just because it's not as confusing. But we can try that too. So, what do you want to do? Here's what we should do. Here's what I suggest. Let's put it on the agenda for next meeting. Let's talk about it. And I want your thoughts on that, and maybe we can get together, just if I can get a couple of you folks that are on the council that are really interested in doing that. I want to sit down with you and see what you're thinking, because I haven't heard anything since we were last at the council meeting.
I like odd even. To me, that is so simple.
Okay. So possibly for the next meeting?
We want to sit down before next meeting and talk about it and come back to the council and see what we.
That would be best.
Yeah, that'd be best.
So, okay.
All right.
That would, boy, anything that we can do to get people, so we can plow the streets, would be great. Any questions?
You get a cost estimate like that, and that sounds great.
We should, yeah. It's, you know, it's, we know about how many streets we got and how many signs. We would have to, I think.
2 for each street?
I think we'd have to go at least two
per block.
East,
per
west?
block. So it'd be four signs per block, which cost about $75 a piece. You're $200 a block times a lot. I'm just throwing out some basics, but I know that I got signs years ago for the proposed bike route that the council was pushing, and I have, I'm almost embarrassed to say this, I have 92 bike signs that I was directed to get, and they're still in our storage, because it cost like $6,000 to get them all in the right place, and along with painting on the streets and and along with the trail that we were the proposed trail at the time, and because of funding, we put it all in the back burner.
We tried odd even at one time, right?
Not since I've been here.
Well, yeah, I mean, but we went away from it, so what happened? Did we get a lot of complaints, or?
That's a good question, Pam. I don't know all the answers. I've heard some people that have talked about that, and it just confused a lot of people. That's all.
Well, that's what I heard, like people.
Well, we have to
grumbling
have
about it.
signs, if we just make a snow
Right.
hill or
Or
it
what day it was.
snows, cars off the street.
I live on Sunday, I get it every day.
I don't.
Well, we had a lot of people that were coming to the council because they worked nights and they couldn't shift their cars.
Yeah.
You also had the issues where people that had nowhere to go with their cars, complaining against it. And there was a lot of complaint.
A hot box.
Yeah, and our police chief at the time was dragging his feet about enforcing the law in the first place. And so it just became too much of a burden. I think it's a great idea.
It's really as simple as it can be. Walk out of
And
your
one
house,
thing I would-
look at your number. If it's an odd number and it's an odd day, you need to be on the other side of the
Yeah.
street. Okay? You can walk across the street to your car and leave your car parked in front of your neighbor across the street's house.
And one thing I'd encourage any of the
It's
council,
pretty simple.
any council members here is to hitch a ride on a snowplow sometime it snows and see what those guys go through.
We did that 4 or 5 years ago. Actually.
Yeah,
That
when
was-
we had a really
That's a good idea.
gigantic, and I was extremely impressed with how you guys handled yourself weaving in and out without taking off mirrors.
We haven't been without incident over the years, but it's not very often.
Yeah.
That's why if you park odd even, you don't have anybody on that side of the street you're plowing, or shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It would just be so nice if everybody would just
cooperate,
move off the streets for just a day. Just give us a day to get the streets cleaned up. So, anyway, any questions?
Thank you, Steve.
Just to add to that real quick, I know it's not everywhere in town, but specifically like Walnut Street, and I usually have to plow that out. There are people parking on both sides of the street, and it's almost bumper to bumper, so the people on one side couldn't go to the other side of the street to park. And I don't know how prevalent that would be throughout the city, throughout the town, but I know specifically Walnut Street is probably the worst town to try to do.
There's people with off-street parking that are too lazy.
That's true.
Shove their driveway.
Well, for the electric department, Stu has to swear silence on this, but the utility picked up 2 awards for customers of the utility. Yeah, and we'll get with Stu and Linda, and we're going to do this, but the very first one I got was for Family Foods for energy efficiency. And one of the things, I don't know if the council realizes this, but the Iowa Utilities Board mandated that every utility in the state of Iowa show a 2% reduction in usage. So, and then the second one was for the Cedar County Law Enforcement Center with the solar array. With these awards, this also is going to go towards our 2% energy reduction for our 2015 reporting, or 2016 reporting with the Iowa Utility Board, which is a good thing. We'll get with Stu later and we'll present it to Family Foods and the Cedar County Law Enforcement Center, but I got 1/3 of the awards, so that felt good. But this last week I spent away from the utility. I was at the Iowa Association of Municipal Utilities Energy Conference. We talked about solar, wind, interconnection agreements, PERPA, you name it, we talked about it. They looked at our new interconnection agreement. They thought it was a real good example of one. You know, Bob's not here, but I want to thank Bob and everybody that has helped with that in the past. But and then this week we will be running the CAT engine tomorrow, and this will be the final run of the Caterpillar. This will be giving their blessing that everything looks good, and that will be tomorrow. And then on the 7th, which is Wednesday, we're doing the EPA DNR testing with power plant compliance, and we're hoping all that goes real smooth and we get past that and we shouldn't have any more. We'll be done with that. The only other things that are left right now is the interconnection agreement with RPGI. Those things are moving along, but it's just a slow process. And then one thing that I did do today, I've been talking to a gentleman from Minnesota from another municipal utility. We found a gentleman in Texas that wants to come up and look at our OP and give us a price, and he can supply parts and things like that. And it might be a better option than what we originally was talking about. So, and I'm hoping it'll be a lot less money. So, I'm looking forward to him coming. It's probably not going to be till after the first year. But sounds like we'll have Ross and Larry down, and we'll provide them the best hospitality that we can, and we'll get those lights up and get that taken care of. So hopefully we can get all that done this week. So it's going to be a busy week.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thanks, Larry.
I do have to go to Muscatine in the morning.
Oh, you can't take any time off work already.
Yeah.
Already asked for time off.
I got a tiller down there and I can't leave it there. They'll charge me storage.
Tour flights is Saturday night. There's a lot on the agenda, so it should be a very nice festival that evening. And for Tim and Leanne, I believe you are on the high school, middle school ambassador. I am getting applications trickling in. Deadline is the 16th. So after the deadline, I'll be in contact with both of you. But I am really happy that we are getting some kids that are very interested in this. So that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Gifford. Wait, that's on here.
Yeah, she's on there. She's next.
Yeah, you're next.
An update on police department.
Yep.
We've completed the 7th grade DARE program, I believe. That was November. It was right before Thanksgiving. 84 kids graduated from DARE. We'll be starting the 5th grade program after Christmas break, and I think we have 77 kids for 7th grade DARE. We will be doing Shop with a Cop this weekend. We will have 25 kids that we will be taking shopping. We are working with the Cedar County Sheriff's Office, Iowa State Patrol, and a couple of the other small departments. The kids will be able to go with an officer and shop for presents for their family and for themselves, and then the presents will be wrapped, and they'll have a small pizza party, and they will get to take the wrapped presents home with them at that point. And I believe that is all of our
Goals or objectives?
Goals and objectives session coming up.
It should be, I think you're going to be sending out the emails to Tim's going to send the emails out to the surrounding law enforcement officials. I will work on that and get some goals going for the department.
All right.
The ones that we haven't already completed.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief Gifford. And this should bring us to the adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Leaper with the first,
Second.
and Boots with the second.
Spear.
Yes.
Lever.
Yes.
McNeil. Booth. Anderson.
Yes.
All right, we are adjourned. Yeah, geez.